Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about my Twine endurance in the 12.4 patch, right? In the 12.4 patch, there has been some changes with respect to the game, but there has been no changes with respect to Twine endurance, right? So Twine endurance from my testing has been exactly the same as previously. Alright, now, even with that being said, it's been about a week since I last posted a video, and I'm kind of due for a video. The thing is that I've actually done a lot of changes for my build, right? Quite a bit, and a lot of it is with regards to tile savings, but a lot of it is also with regards to stability, right? So there's also equal of each, right? And hopefully you'll be able to see exactly how I did my changes, and you can do those changes to yourself as well. Now, of course, there's going to be some, excuse me, there's going to be some things that I'm still testing on, right? But they are for the better, right? They are for the better. Okay. Now, I only did 2 full runs of the Twine Endurance post the 12.4 patch. And yeah, I can pretty much say that it's been pretty good so far. But yeah, let's just get right into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to notice over here is that I've changed this little setup over here. I used to have an assassin tunnel, right, which would path the flingers all the way over here, right, to recycle them all the way towards the south, right. But I have changed this, right? And the reason being is I felt like I needed a little cheaper option, and sometimes on the rare occasion the flinger actually does make it pass through all the launchers and tar pits. Alright, so instead what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a block off, right? But this type of block off is mainly for the assassin husk, right? If you do a block off regularly like this, right? So suppose I did a block off like this, right? And just like before, it's going to have some issues, right? And then one of the issues is going to be, first, the assassin husks are going to beat on it, right? If you're standing on the amplifier, the assassin husks are going to beat on this. Number 2 is that the assassin husk can phase through here, which can be over here, which can also be bad, right? So to avoid all that, I'm just going to leave it open and let them come right into this freeze trap over here, right? And from there, they can go ahead and start beating on these walls, right? Which then they would get destroyed, right? Because of the dynamos and the freeze traps, right? But yeah, that's pretty much the type of setup I'm using. And the dynamos I'm using are reloads, but you can use whatever dynamos you got. I don't think it makes too much of a difference because the freeze trap is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, right? And the freeze trap as well is going to be whatever perks you got. Just make sure you use effect duration, right, and double reload. So it doesn't really matter which one you use because they're all assassin husks and the impact thresholds are very low. Okay, so as well, I have these 2 floor launchers over here, 4 times impact, single reload, and this is for husk phasing, right? Because husk phasing, just like previously, is going to happen, right? So we're just going to launch them all the way over towards the south, right? Now I did have a wall previously here, but it did get beat out by assassin husks, right? So I'm thinking I just remove it because once they beat it out, they just went over here. So yeah, I'll just remove it then. Okay, so that is what I have so far. Now on the beach over here, you can also notice that I also removed this wall over here. So this wall has been removed, and this wall has been removed with the slant facing outwards, and this slant is also facing outwards too. Right? So there's a couple structures saved there. Alright, so the valley over here. So the valley over here, I did go through some changes, right? And one of the changes I did do, which is a positive change, is I added a little bit more crowd control over here, right? With the single reload 5 times durability wall launchers, right? So I have 3 of them over here, and 2 of them is actually just for the nurse husk, right? To have a little bit more crowd control for them and buys more time so they're not over here, right? Because if a smasher is at full health in this position over here, that's okay, right? Because this trap tunnel is so strong that it will kill all the smashers easily, right? It's more so if the nurse husk gets over here, right? If the nurse husk gets all the way over here, then that's bad news, right? And that could be trouble. So I just want to ensure that I get the nurse husk out of my tunnels over there, either by nuking them from the Zealing zappers with a 33% chance, or by using some crowd control with the wall launchers. Alright. Now another thing too is that I also changed all of these to the low half walls, right? So the super low half walls. And the reason being is to allow all the wall darts to pass through it, right? Because if it was like this, right, some of the wall darts may not pass through. Okay. I'm still using this timeout boxes over here, as you can see, right? And this is designed specifically for the smashers, right? 4 times impact to stagger them in here. This one's 4 times impact to stagger them over here. However, the last two over here I have changed, right? Because there's actually a kind of trap tunnel design that you can do using these half floors, and with this tile empty, so make sure the first half is empty, and you can actually just walk around here, right? So that's what the all the husks are going to do. They're going to walk around here kind of like a zigzag pattern, and it seems to be working every single time on the wave 25, and I ran this about 8 times or so since my last video, maybe 10. And this has been working 100%, right? The only time that this particular floor ever gets destroyed is from a mini boss. That's not because of the smashers or anything like that from the south. It's because of the mini boss spawning from the mist pods, and they break on this, right? Instead of on the path around it. And that's the only time they actually break on it. Okay, so it seems like it's been pretty good so far. And also I have removed the wall darts in here because it seems like they don't actually shoot through the hole. Right, same thing over here. I removed the wall darts, right, and over here I removed the wall darts, and I just pushed them up forward a bit. Right, you could use the dynamos if you wish, right, but I like the wall darts a little bit more. All right. So, with that in mind, I think that should be all the changes on the valley over here. I think I added these 2 wall launchers back. I removed them previously by adding them back. I added this half wall over here just so that I can jump up, and easy access up here. Right. Another thing too is that I removed the roof on this valley amplifier that saves 3 structures. I also changed my camping position over here, and I'll explain why when I talk about the Wamp amplifier, right, which would save you structures. So pretty much I jump up here, and I'm gonna diagonally just go all the way over here, right? I'm gonna go pretty far. And I think the reference point we're going to use is this wall over here, right? So on the second half of this little terrain here, I'm going to use this wall as a reference. And then I'm over here towards the west, I'm going to use this as a reference, right? This little tiny little island very south, right? So those are the reference points I'm going to use for my camping spot. You probably don't have to be this far. You can probably stand like over here, right? But this is only because of the Wamp amplifier and also the assassin husk from over here too, right? But mainly the Wamp amplifier over there, right? So, excuse me, we can go over to the Wamp amplifier and I'll talk about beach after. So the Wamp amplifier over here pretty much has been exactly the same. I added that wall launcher back. I did the double gas crits with the healing traps up here. And yeah, most of it's been the same. I think the one major change, which is really nice, is that I don't have this assassin tunnel anymore. So I used to have an assassin tunnel going up here, and I just removed it. It was not necessary as soon as I changed position. Right, as soon as I changed position, the assassin tunnel was not needed. So I went ahead and just removed it. Now, when we go over to the assassin block off over here, right, I removed the gas trap and I removed the dynamo over here because I felt like this wall was not really in danger much, but it was more of this wall was in danger, right? So I went ahead and just removed those traps, and it seems like that's been okay. Alright, but if you want to be extra safe, you can just keep the traps over here just for a little bit more damage. Right. But it seems like most of the time they're actually more interested in this particular wall when they're trying to get towards me. Alright. So that is that over there. Another thing to note as well, which I'll get to this part, is that I added 2 floor launchers over here, and this is more or less for insurance, right? So this is these 2 are 4 times impact single reloads. Launch them up here, 4 times impact single reloads, and these are going to launch them towards the east, right? So it's like a chain launch. And this is just to help a little bit with the front traps over here if they do run out. Right, I have a little bit of a backup plan for the regular husks. Unfortunately, it won't work for the smashers, right? But that's okay, right? That's okay because the smashers are not going to do amp damage, so it's still going to buy extra time. I removed these 2 walls over here, right? So I used to have these 2 walls, and I have removed them. It seems like it was not needed. And the lobber shield design over here. So the lobber shield design over here, I'm using 2x5 over here, right? Same spot, just a little bit thicker. One spot over there, slant that. And then we have the 3 on top and 2 on the bottom, right? And this is pretty much the lobber design I'm going to be using, right? With the floor launchers over here, right? At the top there, we're going to have a triangle piece and then 2 slants up there, right? And this is for the chain launching that's going to happen. And it's really important that we don't have any of this connecting over here, right? Very important that we don't have any of that connecting over there. Okay, and then of course there's going to be that 2x2 wall over there just to stop them from going too far. Alright, other than that, I think the traps here have been exactly the same. Alright, and then we can talk about this part. Now this part is like ultra optional, right? This is more or less all these anti-airs and defender pads, right? So I have 5 anti-airs and 8 defender pads, and this is more or less as insurance, right? So if something goes wrong on your Wamp amplifier, right, and then this is like a backup plan. Now I can show a clip of me on wave 26 where you can replace the traps if you wish, right? If you ran out, just replace the traps and everything should be working as planned, right? However, suppose in the event where you don't have enough time to replace the traps or something goes wrong, right? So on the Wamp amplifier, there's a little bit of a backup plan I can do where I just place down all 8 defender pads, right, which are already placed for me, and I just go ahead and set up my defenders, right? So I don't have to waste extra materials. You can just put them down on the defense if you wish to, right? But this one's just kind of like pre-built, so I don't have to spend too much time looking for traps, and I don't have to waste materials either. Okay, so yeah, if you're gonna have a backup plan like this, make sure you have some anti-airs, and then we have 8 defenders, right? Because you have 8 defenders in solo play. If you have a full party, it's up to 5 defenders. Alright, and then I have a little healing pad over here just for cuteness. Alright, now let's go on to the beach amplifier. Now the beach amplifier design over here is a little bit more of a testing. I'm not sure if I need this wall in particular to make this build stable, so I'm going to try to remove it and see, right? But it could be possible that the build might break, right? And I might need this wall. Alright, but yeah, I'll only know if I'll test it out. Okay, and pretty much the amplifier design over here is actually trying to get the mini boss dancing when they're coming from the south side over here, right? I'm trying to get them to dance and see if that's going to be successful. But yeah, everything else has been pretty much the same in here, but I did do a little bit of a tile saving. So one of the tile savings I did is remove the 2 wooden floor spikes here. I felt like they were not needed at all, right? And I removed the tar pit over there because it experienced really low usage, right? Because once the husks get launched into the pit, they're never going to go back there anymore, right? So that's why I felt like it was not necessary. Not necessary. And I added an extra layer over here because this wall did get beat out sometimes, so I think maybe the extra layer would help, and it seemed like it did. Alright. So I think those are all the changes on the beach, right? A little bit of tile savings here and there. Alright, so let's go over to the home base. Okay, so excuse me. The home base design over here been pretty much the same. I removed 1 wooden floor spike there, and I changed this block off over here, right? And this was primarily for the assassin house previously, but now I did kind of like a freeze trap with a dynamo, right? And this dynamo I'm using reload, but you can use whatever dynamo you got, right? And just box it in like this, and just lure the husks into here so that they want to break on this wall to try to get to me. Right, so what I'm going to do is just have a freeze trap and dynamo over there. Now of course they might actually come over down here and come down there instead, right? Because that's just how the assassin husks are, right? But this is one of the options they can do. And down here there's also some options over here that they can do. These wall launchers are healing, and these dynamos again are there for the damage, which also use healing, right? Because the dynamos have such high durability and high reload that, you know what, you just go ahead with the healing and you're fine. Alright, so that is the Homebase East. Now on the Homebase design over here, I have removed the roof, right? So I think I used to have a roof on this side over here, right? So I removed that. and I changed to Homebase North. Now this is kind of like an experimental build. This is again for tile savings, right? And this saved like 30 tiles or so, 30 to 40 tiles, maybe a little bit less, right? It depends on how many traps you want to use, right? And for this one I went a little bit heavy, right, because I just want to test it out. Yeah, you can use as many traps as you want, and this is just for the Homebase North, so that saves some tiles, and also it's still a pretty decent build, right? I might make a separate video for this once I have confirmed that this can actually work, right? But I can go over kind of like a little brief overview, right? This block off is the exact same as the previous build, and I have wall launchers all the way over here, right? Now with nothing behind it. And essentially, I'm just going to path them all in here, right, towards the east side, right? And same thing for the this side over here. I'm going to path them all the way towards the east, right? And you can see over here, I have a little bit less block off than my previous build, right? Because it was not necessary to have so much block off for this particular build. But the previous one, yeah, I do need lots of block off. Alright, and it's really important to ensure that you have block off from the front here to prevent the husk from taking a shortcut from this target location to this target location, right? Because they actually need to do a U-turn to get over there. Alright, so, but this could be a little bit overkill on the block off, right? I still would have to test it out on a smasher, right? I still have to test it out on a smasher. Okay, but currently over this block off I have 10 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so I have 10 layers from that position to this position. But it could be overkill, like I said. And yeah. So down here I have the pretty much kind of same setup where I'm just pathing them on the east side, right? But instead of doing a loopy-loop, I'm going to just path them straight, right? I'm kind of doing the same design over here, where I'm using the half stair, or sorry, half floor, and I'm going to make them do a zigzag around here, right? Do a zigzag around here. When they get to this wall launcher over here, they're going to get launched in here, and then zap them, right? And the freeze trap over here with the wall launcher is just when they get launched over here, they're frozen and pretty much would never escape, right? And that's pretty much all it is for, right? Because the wall launcher over here is a double reloader, right? So the true reload is going to be 5.6 seconds, so it's pretty quick, right? This freeze trap is a 6.5 reload, so I'm not sure the exact delay on this, but I'm guessing it's going to be like about a second or so, right? So the wall launcher is going to be faster than the freeze trap, but because of that, the freeze trap is going to get a lot more usage, right, with that reload. All right. Yeah, and pretty much the key to making any good damage build is your holes, right? The holes and the walls and stuff like that, and these are going to allow other traps to get through, right? So that's one of the things I do with the wall darts, because the wall darts are really strong, right? And pretty much try to let them pass through in every little crevice that you can, right? And of course the ceiling electric fields, right? And those are really good AoE damage. And also they're really good for the water husks, right? Even up here I put a little bit on the sides. And there's some these wall lights. Now the wall lights in general is just to buy more time. I previously had wall dynamos, but I felt like it was better to buy more time for more damage, right? Because buying more time is more damage, like I said in my previous video. Okay. And also the wall lights work not only for the regular husks, but they work for the smashers, right? When they do get a smasher wave over here, which is very rare. And then up here, right, I have another wall light over here, just to stagger them in here. And I have more of these little kind of dynamos and all the wall darts in the world. Pretty much try to spam as much of these traps as you can. Now, I could be using broadsides in these corners instead of the dynamos, but I did want a little bit more versatility when it came to what husks would come up here, right? So if it's going to be like a really tanky, husky water husk, right, I want to ensure that when they come up here, they would get zapped really good. And as well, these kind of traps are also good for water, right? So wave 21, wave 26, there are water husks, right? So they would do really good damage against them, right? Whereas I'm pretty sure I'm not going to expect much of the regular smashers. And the only regular smashers there are wave 5 and wave 11, which are very low levels to begin with, right? So I'm not too worried about them. All right. So that's pretty much the kind of design over here with the trap tunnel, right? When I'm doing these half little floors over here, right? And yeah, this is pretty darn good. Now a lot of these half floors over here, it's actually credited to Leaf, right? Because Leaf told me about these, but he actually never tested it in the Twine Endurance, right? So I'm going to be start testing it, right? I haven't actually tested to see if this one particularly works for the smashers, right? I don't know if this one particularly works for the smashers up here, right? Because I haven't had a smasher like yet, right? But this is kind of like the design I have so far. If it doesn't work, right? So if this particular design does not work, then you can use my kind of old tactic with the timeout box, right? Using the wall lights, right? So you can still use those wall lights with the over here, right? And that's also a really good option too, right? I've been testing out these half floors to see if these half floor designs are still really effective in these builds, right? So excuse me. But yeah, that's pretty much the Homebase North over here, right? Just make sure you have enough block off on the west side over here. Make sure you have enough block off in general for the middle, right? It's going to be a middle block off over here. And I think overall you should be good, right? I don't know if there's going to be like some sort of mean flinger that wants to break on this, right? So I had to experiment to see if there's going to be a flinger that breaks on this. I'm not entirely sure just yet. Alright. But I could try to be safe and like put something there, or maybe. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure if because I know sometimes the flinger likes to bang on this in some previous builds, because I don't have a flinger pathway anymore. But I have to just take a look and see what happens. Alright, so this build is very experimental because I don't know what's going to happen in the later waves. Okay, so let's go over to the ridge. I also have removed the roof, as you can see, right? So the roof has been removed, and I have kind of like a weird design over here, right? I'm still experimenting with the amp designs because I want to see if I can find ways to make husks dance, right? So they just loop back and forth, so I don't have to worry about the husks breaking on the amplifier in such a way which scuffs the AI, right? I don't want that to happen. But yeah, another thing too is that because I changed the amplifier design over here, then this block off design's been changed slightly, right? It's been changed slightly, but it's still working, right? It's still working fine. Right, and this zigzag pattern over here, I moved that up a little bit. Everything here though has been pretty much the same though. I have changed these instead of the wall launchers, instead of the floor launchers to the wall launchers launched in the west. These are all sound walls for the unavoidable damage of the propane, and I added another wall over here for sound wall, and this wall seems to never get broken, so I'm just like, alright, let's leave it alone. This over here is for the Devil North over here, because sometimes the hustlings like to just roam around, and this is just to catch those hustlings that are roaming around. Alright. Now for this over here, I removed some launchers over here, but I kept this launcher over here, and I made this a little bit shorter, right? So just one launcher over here and one floor launcher over here, right? And of course have this one's double reload, and I think this one's double reload as well. I removed some wall lights over there. I think I had some structures, and I moved the wall lights over here. And I think everything else in the Devil North's been the same. I added a sound wall. I added a couple gas traps down here. And we'll remove some traps on the front here. Ooh. Now over here on the Devil Amplifier, I have removed the 4 arches, right? And in my opinion, they don't seem to matter, but I have no proof of actually verifying that, right? That's just my opinion. I actually don't know if it's true or not. So I'm just going to head and remove it and just see and pray that it still keeps on working, right? But if you want to be extra safe, just keep the 8 arches over there. Alright, now I also added back some of the block off on the Devil Amplifier over here, because it seems like I actually do need this much block off, right? So you can go ahead and copy that, right? Make flat floors, pyramids, and also the walls over here. Alright, so go ahead and copy that if you wish. Alright, now I have removed a damage trap over here, right? So I don't really need it anymore. That's just my opinion. Maybe if you want to be extra safe, you can go ahead and add some damage traps. But yeah, I think most of it has been pretty much the same. Just make sure you add that block off over there. I think that's pretty much the most important change. Alright. Another thing you could do, which I did see in someone's base over here, is that in the event that a flinger somehow makes it all the way past over here, you could add this kind of like a little bit of insurance, right? Where if flinger somehow makes it over here, you could add a wall launcher over there, right? I could try that out to see how it goes, right? But yeah, that's just one option you could do if you want to. Alright, so let's talk about the pit. So the pit amplifier over here has gone through some changes, right? So positive changes. And look, less structures, woohoo! I'm going to be testing out more and more on the pit amplifier to see if I can keep reducing the structures, because the pit is very expensive, right? Everyone knows the pit is wildly expensive, right? So this is why I'm going to start cutting out some structure. And this is one of them that have been very successful, right? I had about 20 runs at least since the last video. And yeah, very successful. I didn't have any punching on the north side over there. And I can think pretty much assume that this is really stable now. So go ahead and remove all those extra structures on this floor over here. But I'm still going to keep some of these walls over here, right? As insurance. This over here I'm going to keep. And this one's kind of like a new addition over there, where I'm going to add the little sandwich on the corner. And there's also a sandwich in this corner over here, right? A sandwich in this corner, flat floor. And also there is a flat floor with the wall over here, right? And then there is the two walls over here. I have also removed this little sandwich over here. So I used to have a sandwich. Go ahead and whack that out. Alright. And let's see, I used to have a wall over here, whack that out. I used to have a wall over here, whack that out. And I used to have a flat floor, pyramid, and walls all surround that. And go ahead and whack those out as well, right? I'm going to be changing this kind of pathing over here. Instead of trying to diagonally path them, right? So before I used to diagonally path, like I think something like this, or whoops. So I used to diagonally path something like this over here, right? Yeah. So I used to diagonally path like that, and it turns out this is actually not the shortest pathway. The shortest pathway is actually diagonally downward, right? So diagonally path them downwards like this, and go down here, right? And this seems to be a much shorter pathway. I don't know if it's much shorter, but overall, the husks want to go path on this over here, right? So I'm thinking exactly how I'm doing that is I put the flat floors down here, and then maybe that should make it better, right? But I'm not 100% sure just yet, right? I do have to do some testing, right? So it could be that this might be even a shorter pathway. This might be even a shorter pathway for the husks over there, right? It could be possible. Or maybe it could be that an even shorter pathway would be like this. Maybe this would be even a shorter pathway. So yeah, again, I would have to do some testing to verify. Alright. So that is that over there. Now I'm gonna also show some changes at the front. I have removed these 4 walls down there. They were not needed. I removed the floor trap over here and replace this floor trap with 5 times impact, right? So they actually go all the way over towards the west. And I removed the wall spike over there. It used to be a wall spike here. I removed it. And I kind of close this off over here. And this is because of the tornadoes. Sometimes the tornadoes launch husks in random directions that you don't want them to be. Yeah, it seems like if I close this out, this should be okay, right? And behind over there, I didn't have the slants over here anymore. Those have been removed. And also there is this over here. This slant has also been removed. I had a slant here. I removed that. However, because I removed some of these structures over here, I do need a lava shield. And this seems to be the lava shield that works. Just this slant over there. Alright. Let's see. Yep. There is this over here, the wall light with the floor launcher, right? Wall light 4 times impact, right? To instantly stagger any smasher. Excuse me. Yeah, this seems to be pretty much the pit changes, right? I also replaced some of the front with wall lights, right? Just to stagger them a bit. If they somehow do punch on this, right? Which they haven't yet. But yeah, it's just to stagger them out and then change the direction if they ever do. Right? That's just really optional. Okay, so we are onwards to the, oh yeah, there's also a little bit of lobber change over here, a little bit, right? I put a lobber shield over here instead of up there. Yeah, that seems to be working. The bridge over here has gone through some interesting changes, right? And this, in my opinion, is going to be a positive change because this seems to be a really solid, stable way for a no damage build to work, right? Where I would do a split pathing, or pathing them towards the north up there, right? You can see how I'm pathing them. And there's also a lava bomb over here. So this lava bomb can break this tile. So that's why I have this half stair. And this half stair seems to not break the lava bomb. And I fortunately can't do this on a Wamp amplifier, but it works on the bridge over here. So that's good. Yeah, so that's pretty much the design I have for the recycling system over there. Where I'm going to path them north over there. There's a block off here. And yeah. Now another thing to note too is that I don't have these over here, right? Normally I use them for smashers, but in my opinion they're not necessary. And two reasons. One, this is a very low density, right? A very low density. So I'm not even expecting more than one smasher to come up here. Two, I'm doing it all the way over here. So 4 times impact wall light, bang, the smasher goes down, right? And this 4 times impact wall light is going to work for every power level in 1 player difficulty. And another thing to note as well is that once they get staggered down over here, they're in this position. They're not going to path towards the north anymore. They're going to path normally over here. So once a smasher actually does make it over here, they're never going to return, right? And I think that's one key thing to note as well, right? Is that all of this, if a smasher does get staggered, they're not going to go down. That's fine, right? Because eventually they're going to come over here, which then they're going to get knocked down, right? So that's why. Okay, I don't think I need the tar pit, but don't quote me on that, right? I removed it because I don't feel like it was necessary. Okay, and the durability on here, I'm using the high durability traps as usual because I don't feel like I need them for the non-smasher units. But you can use whatever traps you got because again, these is a very low density. Right? This is something very new I'm testing. I only had it attacked 1 wave. In the 1 wave I did get attacked, I had a little bit more layers. So this is my current layering over here, 5 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I actually had 7 over here. So I actually had 7, which I can build for you right now. Right, so this is the exact layering I had. And there we go. So that's the exact layering I had, right, with those layers. And it's been working in that wave. I want to see if I can remove some more, right? To save more structures, right? So that's what I'm going to be testing out. Because again, this is a very new design, right? And it seems to be working pretty good, so I'm happy with that. All right. Now, one thing that's interesting about this design as well is that this is a very long pathway I have to go through, like a very long pathway, a very long pathway, and 2 tiles north of the amplifier. And you kind of see the pathway over here. Now, I placed tons and tons of anti-air traps over here. And the reason why I just spam them all around here is one, it's going to make the build more stable, right? Because I don't have to worry about meteors breaking structures. Because, for example, this is a common spot for it to be broken. And this is also a common spot over here, I think. But yeah, because of I think that the anti-airs would be a really nice addition for that, right? Now, it could be really unlucky and get like a giant meteor to break on it, right? That could be really unlucky, but I think it's a very low possibility in my opinion. I think it's a low possibility, right? But yeah, I'll have to keep playing around with it and see, right? Because again, this is building above, right? This is building above, and a giant meteor could break on all of it if I'm really unlucky, right? However, one thing that's a little bit nice at least is that all these floors over here have a little bit extra health, right? So they do help a little bit with the meteor. And then if you built if you somehow get the base on here, right, which maybe I can think about, it would even mitigate more damage from the giant meteor. So yeah. Alright, so that's that. And at the front over here, I think pretty much has been the same, right? I think I had this, and I just went back to this thing. This one was the safer design, right? So wall launcher over here. So this is single reload 5 times durability, single reload 5 times durability, single reload 5 times durability. And the double reload sound walls over here, right? This is again for the unavoidable damage of this, right? Okay. So with that in mind, we can move on. So another thing to talk about here is I did a little bit cheaper design over here. So you can see it's a little bit cheaper than before, right, at the front. And these two wall launchers over here are going to be double reload, 0 impact. These 3 floor launchers are going to be single reload, single impact. And these 2 wall launcher over here, single reload, right, 0 impact. But yeah, this is just again going to be launching them towards the south, right, into the lava, or onto here, which then these would get chain launched into the lava. Alright, and these 2 last wall launchers are going to be double reload, triple impact. Alright, and this is kind of like the, I guess, beta amplifier design, where I'm going to try dancing the mini boss on wave 5 or wave 16. Alright, but don't let the mini bosses dance on wave 30. Don't do that, it won't work. Alright, yeah, so we have all of that, and also have a little bit anti-airs here and there. Okay, another thing to keep in mind too is that when you design a lobber shield, try to make some flat spots so that you can put down anti-air traps at a reduced cost, right? Because it's kind of like a free structure. Well, I would say like anti-air, that's 50% off. Because you have the flat floor over there, and then you can just go ahead and place the trap. So I did that in various spots over here. The pathway just went ahead and spammed all the anti-airs because it's 50% off, right? Now over here, this is kind of like I used to have this, right? But I'm thinking I might not need this because this is already 1 tile more south, so I may not need this structure, right? And that's kind of like what I'm thinking there. So I'm going to test that out to see if it still works, because like if I remove that, I can put anti-air here, right, with 50% off. All right. For the heal amplifier, now this particular wall launcher, 3 times impact, double reload, and I've been having issues with the flinger, right? So the flinger sometimes stands on here, right? And I used to have a design like, I think like this, right? I used to have a design like this, but what ends up happening with this design is that when the flinger's in this position, they somehow want to try to fling and break on these, right? With the lobber shots. So I'm going to see if this works, right? We'll launch them over here, and this will chain launch them towards the lava, right? So I'm going to check that out if it works. And I think I wouldn't worry too much about them landing over here, because I think they would land across over here, sliding down on the wall launcher. So I'm pretty sure that's what will happen, but I'm going to have to see and check it out. I put 1 layer over here, right? 1 layer over here, and then I have 4 walls over here. It's just so that the floor launchers would launch them all the way over here, and these floor launchers are the double impact single reloads, because if they landed over here in these positions, they seem to face through the wall, and I didn't know why, so I'm going to try doing that instead. And then when we come up here, there is going to be a tar pit removed, not needed, and a little bit lobber shield design over there changed, right? Because lobbers are really annoying from the previous patch, so yeah, a little bit larger lobber shield than before, right? I'll explain this part soon. And the lobber shield over here on the amplifier, so this roof design has been removed, so no need. Now this over here is also another new change that I did, right? So this particular change is no longer gonna loop the assassin husk, but instead just zap them over here. Freeze trap and zap them with the dynamo, right? And I've been doing this in various builds because it does save on structures. Alright, so you can go ahead and try to do this kind of design. Now over here, I think I removed this wall, and I think that's it. I think there's not really much change on this block off over here. I added the 2 wall launchers back there. The wooden floor spikes, just 2 of them, and then 1 of them removed because 3 wooden floor spikes kind of overkill. Alright. Another thing to note too is that I've changed my assassin tunnel over here. So you notice 3 wall launchers over here, 3 wall launchers over there on each side, and the monkey in the middle over here is going to be the free strat with the wall dynamo, right? And I've been doing this for various builds because it is cheap, right? And this is kind of like where the assassin's house are going to be beating on, right? And behind that, I actually removed the stairs over here. So I used to have stairs beyond here, right? And I removed them because it seems like the stairs would encourage these husks to want to beat on it. So yeah, I removed that. And instead, I'm going to get them to path on here, right? Because their pathing is going to be like up here, up here, up here, and eventually go up here, right? Or something like that. It's like kind of a weird kind of pathing that they do. But yeah, that is pretty much the box over here. So this is kind of like a little assassin box. It should save a little bit of structures. Now, and the front over here is kind of like the old kind of block off I did 2 months ago for the lava amplifier. So that's kind of like what I did, and it's still working pretty good. Alright, so I also did this. I used to have this kind of slant, but I changed it to this. Alright. I used to have this wall over here removed. I used to have this wall here removed. And I added this wall and removed the 2 walls from behind, right? So I removed the 2 walls from behind. I used to have a slant over here, and that has been removed. I think I added this wall back. Right? I think I added this wall back. Alright, so yeah, so those are little changes here and there. Now the amplifier design so far has been working pretty good, but just remember, if the amplifier gets attacked on wave 26 or wave 28, just jump down here to see if everything's okay, because if all your walls are beaten down, then yeah, that'll be bad, right? So just always check on those waves, right? And this particular design is trying to help the mini bosses on wave 18 dance, right? So that pretty much when they come over in this position, they'll jump down here and then they'll start dancing, right? And that's pretty much the design of this amplifier. This design actually Vixen did, right? So yeah, Vixen, why don't you just carry it away? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and thank you, Vixen, for teaching everybody how to build this amplifier design, right? And essentially you just build the walls over here, right? 4 walls on the southwest, 1 slant on the southwest, and then we have a slant on the southeast, and then we have a slant on the northeast, right? With the 2 walls facing the east, and then we have a slant on the southeast over here of that southeast. So yeah, that's pretty much it, right? That's pretty much the amplifier design. It'll be dancing back and forth, right? Alright, so let's carry on. Oh wait, I think that's the end of my my build, right? But another thing to keep in mind is that the Homebase North over there, 100% experiments. I have no idea if it'll work on the later waves, right? As well, if you're like a low power level with low tech, these kind of damage builds are not going to work for you. So you're going to have to still use and rely on the recycling kind of builds, right? Which is kind of like my old Homebase North, right? But yeah, you could do whatever you feel like is best for you. Alright, but I think that's it for now, and yeah, I think the next video, maybe in the week, right? Later on in the week, I'm gonna release how to build your lava amplifier from scratch, right? From scratch, because I do think I may want to do a damage build in lava, because it might be cheaper, but you know, I'll have to see, right? So take care, everybody, and as always, have fun building.